Well, with breakfast over and a second cup of coffee, and it was time, you guessed it, more therapy. Violet didn't like to inflict pain, but she knew that if Lance was going to get back on the road anytime soon, she was going to have to work on that knee, and so was he. It wasn't going to be easy. So anyway, it was a beautiful morning. The heat spell had what do you call it? The heat wave had gotten much less. It was really pleasant outside. So they, instead of just sitting on the porch, they rolled the wheelchair down a ramp and then went out into the garden that Violet had in her backyard. And there, he was in his sheets, and there Violet started to, as she'd done before, work on his left shoulder first, and then on his right shoulder. But this time, she was working it, and once again, he was letting her know it hurt. It was going to have to hurt. She was real careful how far she'd take it, and then of course she worked down his arm. The arm was much better. She could do a lot with that arm without him groaning. But then it was time. She had to go down and work on that knee, and that was another matter. So as before, the sheets were easy to just push out of the way, and she'd take that knee and first put her hands there. Well, I don't have to explain it again. But what's of interest is that same beautiful morning convinced Teydis that he should go out on his back porch, his balcony up there. He should go out and enjoy that morning as well. Well, he goes out and he looks down, and what's he see? He sees the man that he heard before. This guy with long blonde hair, looked sort of like a Viking god. He's in sheets and almost as if he's in white sheets, almost as if he's in a throne. And there kneeling before him is Violet, and doing something there. He couldn't tell for sure what. And the guy, the Viking god there, he was groaning and carrying on and moaning, and then before long, Violet said to Elaine, you might as well learn to do this too, because we're going to be doing a lot of this. So now Elaine went and worked on his shoulders. Now she wasn't as good, but she was probably being too careful, was what it was. She just didn't want to hurt him, but she did what she'd watched her mother do, and the same thing was working on that knee. Well, Teydis, I got to tell you something about Teydis. There's a speech in Much Ado About Nothing. I hope you know that play, where Benedict is so angry at Beatrice, and they've been fighting. And here's what he says about Beatrice. I've got my script here. He says, "It is the base, bitter disposition of Beatrice that puts the world into her person and so gives me out." In other words, he's saying that Beatrice has got such a nasty disposition that she ends up thinking the whole world is like that, like she is. Well, Teydis is a little bit like that too. He's not good at imagining that others don't think the way he does, and so he thinks they think the same way. In the modern world, I think the word projection is being used now when someone projects on others things that they might think. And what he was seeing down there, this old woman and this child kneeling before this Viking god, man candy, doing something, and him groaning and carrying on. Teydis was having some dark thoughts.